What's up everyone, DJP2 here, and in today's video we're taking a look at level 50 Meltan in the Great League. Now Meltan, even when it's maxed out and perfect, it only hits 1,207 combat power, which is crazy. But it has a very high attack stat for a Pokemon this low combat power, and actually can win CMP against some of the meta Pokemon, such as Galarian Stunfisk or Umbreon. Now I love using Meltan, but I should have evolved this thing a long time ago. So anyways, let's get into the battles. Hopping to the first match, terrible lead, Altaria and a Carbink. And so we switch into Ludicolo, the softer counter, and the opponent brings in Medicham. Now Ludicolo can go for an Energy Ball. An Energy Ball should hit pretty hard. It does more than half the Medicham's health. And Ludicolo is going to have to tank a move here. If it's an Ice Punch, we tank it, and it is. So now we get to go for an Energy Ball, force a Shield, or force Switch. The opponent decides to go down a Shield but keep Switch, simply because of how dominant of a matchup Carbink has. Now, since Altaria just loses to Carbink, we are not going to try and keep it bulkier, so we just let that Ice Punch go through. They bring in Carbink, and now they're going to go for a Rock Slide. Meltan is pretty glassy, so we still have to commit a shield there. The opponent brings in Weezing. Now, we're going to be able to go for a Thunderbolt here, and Thunderbolt gets a shield. Now, we need 2 more Thunderbolts to take out the Weezing, and it's just not worth it to go for a Flash Cannon, because Flash Cannon is going to be not taking him out, and it takes more energy. So we're just going to have to go for 2 Thunderbolts. Now we outpace the Weezing to a second Thunderbolt, and Thunderbolt takes him out. And now we're going to have to outpace the Carbink, and we do. And this Flash Cannon, I wonder how much it's going to do. And it just one-shots the Carbink. Meltan, pretty attacks waited. So hopping into the next match, we lead Altaria into Galarian Weezing. Another pretty bad matchup, but it's not as bad as the Carbink. So now they're just going to go for a move. They didn't even farm up to the Play Rough, and they just go for a Sludge. That makes it slightly more problematic for my Ludicolo to deal with, but it's better for Altaria because they don't have Play Rough. Now Altaria is going to have to tank another move. They go for a Brutal Swing this time. Then they switch into a Lone Exeggutor, and this is Meltan's time. Now they can go for a move here, but they have resisted moves, so they're not going to take out Meltan, and we can just go for a Flash Cannon. Now Meltan, 1,200 combat power, but still hits really hard. And we actually farm down the Exeggutor. The opponent then brings in Politoed, and Meltan tanks the 1 Mud Shot necessary, so we get to fire a Thunderbolt, and that does some pretty good damage. Now the opponent's going to go for a Weather Ball into Altaria straight away. I'm just letting this go. And now we can bring in Ludicolo, and most likely just farm down. But then they switch into the Galarian Weezing. We're going to go for an Energy Ball here, fishing for a defense drop, and we don't get it, but that's alright. They're going to probably make it to 3 Sludges though, so Ludicolo will have to tank one, but it most likely can. I think the Politoed left with an Energy Ball, though. Sorry, a Weather Ball. So we're going to have to tank 1 Sludge, and we do tank it. So now we get the farm down, we get a Bubble Through, and they did bank a Weather Ball. So now we're going to shield the Weather Ball, and Ludicolo is going to go for an Energy Ball. This Energy Ball will take out the Politoed, and that's a good game. Hopping into the next match, we lead Altaria into Gligar. Pretty good lead. So we go, and we're going to go for the Dragon Breath damage, and the opponent's going to fire off a move. This will not take out Altaria, and they go for a Dig. Questionable decision. This was pretty low elo. So we're going to go for a Sky Attack. Sky Attack should get a shield, actually. I thought it would actually just get let through, but they shield it. So now they go for an Aerial Ace, and now we're going to just keep farming down, and we go for a Sky Attack. Sky Attack will just take out the Gligar, and they're going to come in with a Gengar. This is kind of problematic because I don't really have a good response to it, but they throw a move. So this makes it slightly better. And they go for a Sludge Bomb. Pretty bad decision in my opinion. And then they bring in Lantern. Now, since Meltan's not going to do too much against Gengar, simply because Gengar can probably do massive damage with Shadow Punch, Meltan's going to have more play against Lantern. But we just decide to let it go. We're just going to try and sweep with Ludicolo in the endgame. So now we're going to go for an Energy Ball. This will take out the Lantern or grab Shield. And we get the Shield. So now they're going to probably make it to 2 Thunderbolts before we manage to make it to any move. So they go for Thunderbolt. That's nice that they went for it straight away. We don't have to waste a shield, but we still have to shield again because that is another Thunderbolt. So now I'm over farming as much as possible, and I throw right before they would have made it to a Surf. So this Energy Ball will take out the Lantern, and Ludicolo is able to outpace to an Energy Ball, and Energy Ball will take out the Gengar. Hopping into the next match, we lead Altaria into Hitmontop. Pretty bad lead because of Triple Axle, and the opponent then switches into Jellicent. Now, Ludicolo does well against Jellicent, and they don't even go for a Shadow Ball straight away. So we make it to an energy ball before them, and we're going to be able to bubble them down. Even if they go for a shadow ball here, and they just go for a surf, that's definitely not the right play, because they're only going to make it to one more surf, and Ludicolo can tank that easy. They then bring in Magnezone, which is slightly problematic, because it resists almost anything my team can throw. So then they're going to go for a farm down, and they get it, unfortunately. But we bring in Meltan. I'm calling this as a mirror shot, and it is the mirror shot. They then bring in the Hitmontop, and now Altaria is just going to be able to brute force through the Hitmontop just because of the Dragon Breath damage. They can go for triple axle, but counter is resisted. They're not farming us down. We can shield up the second triple axle. They're not making it to another one. This also forces the Magnezone to go for a wild charge if they want to take us out. So if they want to take us out, they have to go for a wild charge. So now they go for the wild charge, takes out Altaria, and now Meltan is actually able to farm down, and that's a good game. Hopping into the next match, we lead Altaria into Dragonair. Good lead simply because of the bulk difference, and we're going to be able to get them into the yellow before they get us into yellow. We lose CMP though, and I'm just letting this through. Body Slam's not going to take us out, and Sky Attack should either get a shield or get the KO. They shield it, so that's slightly awkward because Ludicolo is not going to have the best time farming down, but Ludicolo can tank a Body Slam. So now we're going to go for the bubble farm down, and we get it. The opponent then brings in Umbreon. Umbreon is problematic for Meltan simply because of the bulk difference, but we should hopefully be able to make it to enough energy balls to take out the Umbreon. If we get to a defense drop, that would be ideal, but it's, I think, 10%, so it's unlikely. We go for an energy ball, get a shield, no debuff, unfortunately. Now we're going to shield this. If we can get this energy ball off, then we can just pray that Meltan can farm down and do well. But the opponent makes the catch, and they catch the energy ball onto a Galarian Stunfisk, and we're not winning that. Meltan gets completely walled by Galarian Stunfisk, and that's a good game. Next battle, we lead Altaria into Galarian Stunfisk, terrible lead, so we switch into Ludicolo. And the opponent brings in Haxorus, and do they know about Ice Beam? Nope. It takes them out, and the opponent just concedes the match. So a good game there. Into the next battle, we lead Altaria into Flygon. Interesting lead. They're running Dragon Tail, unfortunately. Mudshot would be preferable, but they're going to go for a Dragon Claw. I'm going to shield this up, and this should let me get the full farm down, and it does farm down the Flygon. They bring in Umbreon. Now, Moonblast will hit for super effective, but Umbreon's quite bulky. Doesn't even do half. So now Altaria is just going to keep farming with Dragon Breath, and the opponent does have to throw if they want to take us out. And they go for a foul play, and we bring in Ludicolo. The opponent then brings in Charizard, and it's a Fire Spin Charizard, so their fast move only hits for neutral, which is thankful. So then they're just going to keep going for Fire Spins, and Meltan is going to get brought in, and I'm fully sacrificing Meltan. But they bait with Dragon Claw, and we're going to be able to make it to a Thunderbolt. Now, Thunderbolt's going to get a shield, but they're going to get a farm down. Now, I just have to call another bait. I'm just not willing to shield, and they go for another Dragon Claw. They're going to make it to another Dragon Claw, but I can shield this and leave some decent health, and I go off for the CMP tie. That extra bubble might have made the difference, and the Energy Ball does take out the Umbreon, so we take that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Altaria into Granbull. Terrible lead. We're switching into Ludicolo because Meltan is our better response. They bring in Greninja. Greninja is not a response to Ludicolo. We can actually just get both their shields, and they get a boost, but that doesn't matter because Water Shuriken will not farm us down. So we're just going to go and try and grab both their shields, because then Altaria can get fully sacrificed and hope that Meltan can sweep. So we're going to go for another Energy Ball. They're going to shield because they got boosted, but they are still not farming us down. Water Shuriken is double resisted and doesn't do too much damage. Now we bring in Altaria. They go for another Night Slash. I'm letting this go. Altaria is not beating Granbull. And they get another boost. So that's unfortunate. So this Night Slash is actually going to take out Altaria. Now we bring in Meltan, and we actually get the farm down. So now the opponent then brings in Talonflame, and it's Fire Spin. Fire Spin does, I believe, a bit more damage per second, but that's alright. We can go for a farm down. They're going to make it to a Flame Charge, but a Thunder Shock will KO before the Fire Spin registers, and the one charm doesn't take us out, and we make it to a Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon takes out the Granbull, and we barely make that game. Hopping into the next match, we lead Altaria into Hitmontop. We've seen this before. We can just brute force through the Hitmontop, and the opponent isn't switching out this time. So they go for a triple axle. I have to shield this because otherwise it would do huge damage. And then they switch into a Azumarill. Now, this is an interesting matchup because Ludicolo's bubbles are resisted, but we're going to be able to hit for pretty big super effective damage with Energy Ball. Now we go for the Energy Ball, pretty nice damage. The opponent will outpace us to another move, but Ice Beam will not take out Ludicolo, and because Bubble is double resisted, they're not farming down Ludicolo. We make it to an Energy Ball, the opponent just lets that through, taking their shield advantage. And then we bring in Altaria, and we go for a Sky Attack, so we're going to get that shield right back. Now we're going to keep Dragon Breathing, and they're going to go for a Triple Axle. And Triple Axle is getting my final shield, then they switch into Torterra, and that is a problem. Now I have to go for Flash Cannon, pray they don't shield this, because it would do huge damage, but they shield it. And simply because of how oppressive Razor Leaf is and Meltan's small bulk, we're only able to make it to a Thunderbolt, but that's triple resisted, and it does nothing. The opponent leaves with a move, and Torterra learns Stone Edge, and that takes out my Altaria, and we lose that game. So anyway, hopping into the next match, we lead Altaria in a Diggersby. This matchup was actually made worse by the addition of Scorching Sands because it makes most Diggersby run Hyper Beam, when it used to make them only run Fire Punch and Earthquake. Now they have Hyper Beam, which can hit Altaria for neutral. We're going for a Sky Attack, and that actually grabs a shield, pretty surprising, and they bring in Wigglytuff. Now, I'm not bringing in my Meltan because I'm thinking it might be double charm, so I'm trying to save my Meltan to see if they have a Charmer. But this Wigglytuff is actually running Feint Attack, which is really weird. We shield up that Ice Beam, and since we got a Defense Drop with the Energy Ball, we're going to be able to take him out with this Energy Ball. The opponent then brings in Mandibuzz, and they're going to go for an Aerial Ace the moment they get it. The thing about that is it's not taking out Ludicolo. Ludicolo is fairly bulky. We make it to an Ice Beam. Ice Beam is going to do some pretty big damage onto the Mandibuzz, and we're going to be able to bring in Meltan. Meltan can tank any move, even if it is a Shadow Ball. And then they bring in the Diggersby. They're trying to snipe with a Fire Punch, but we're not letting that happen. We get it onto Altaria. Now we're going to go for a Moonblast, because Moonblast does more damage. They make it to another move, but my Altaria is pretty high rank, so it's actually able to tank it. And that Moonblast takes out the Diggersby after one more Dragon Breath, and they bring in Mandibuzz. And we're going to be able to make it to a Thunderbolt, and this will take out the Mandibuzz from this range. And we take that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Altaria into Trevenant. Interesting lead. And the opponent is going to throw on 6, which is weird. Should be a Seed Bomb. But they only have Foul Play instead of Shadow Ball, which is not recommended. And then they bring in Umbreon. Now we can go for a Moonblast, do some nice damage, and switch into Ludicolo. Now Ludicolo should clean up the Umbreon because of the damage that we already did. But the Umbreon goes for a Psychic. No Defense Drop. We make it to an Energy Ball. This should barely not take him out. And Ludicolo might be able to farm down, but the Umbreon lives on 1 HP. And that Psychic is going to do some nice damage, but Ludicolo tanks it. They then bring in Nidoqueen, though, and I have to bring in Meltan because Altaria is quite low. Now this is a bait game. I decide that they're going to Poison Fang, but they don't, and Earth Power one-shots my Meltan. The Nidoqueen has 2 shields, and they're farming down my Altaria, so I can see the match. Overall, I love Meltan, and when I got a perfect one, I immediately knew that I was using it in the Great League, and that this thing was never evolving. If I get a second hundo, I'll use it in the Master League, but I'm never evolving this Meltan. And I love using Flash Cannon on it. People just don't expect the sheer amount of damage you can put out, because they're thinking that it's a 1,200 combat power Pokemon, and that it's unlikely anything could get one shot by it. But then they're proven wrong. So, I love my Meltan. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.